Hi and welcome to the video. I'm Damon, this is Dame Over, and today we're jumping back into Battlefield 5 and taking a look at what I think is categorically the best gun in the game. Now, as you guys that are already subscribed to the channel know, the Battlefield 5 is not my favourite game at the moment, but I did jump back on with my friend Get Good Guy, and he gave me some advice on using one of the weapons that was released when I was not playing the game a little while ago, back in February, and that is the Breda M1935 PG. Now, this gun is an absolute monster, but not for the reasons you might think. So at first glance, it's a burst fire assault rifle. Okay, yeah, that might be good at mid-range. You'll be able to pick people off as they're moving in and out of cover. But if you think anything like me, then you would have realized that that is actually quite limited in how you're able to play with it. Turns out, though, that this gun can be an absolute monster with the right specializations and the right fire mode. Changing fire mode on a gun in Battlefield 5, you say? What is this madness? And yeah, okay, switching fire modes in Battlefield 5 isn't something you ever really think actually happens, but with the Breda, it is the secret weapon to making this an absolute beast rifle. So I'll talk you through the specializations first. So we're mainly going to sit on the right-hand side of the specializations tree. To start with, we've got quick aim, which is aim down your sights 33% faster, very, very useful. Ported barrel, so you don't flap around sideways so much while you're firing your weapon. There's also trigger job, which is supposed to decrease the time in between the burst firing, but you're not going to need to worry about that. I'll get onto that in a second. And finally, we're going to the bottom left-hand side of the tree and going for custom stock to improve your accuracy in aimed fire while you're moving. So all of these specializations are going to help you be way more effective. Absolutely they are. But the very secret weapon that I was talking about before is changing the fire mode. So you want to forget that the Breda can burst fire. Absolutely forget about it. Take that idea, chuck it out the window, because the single fire mode, the semi-auto mode, is how you're going to dominate on the battlefield. As we all know by now, the semi-auto rifles are the dominant weapon type in Battlefield 5, and by using the semi-auto fire mode with the Breda, it takes it into that category as well. Now, one thing I'm a little unclear on is in the specializations, having trigger job is supposed to increase the fire rate from 423 to 540 rounds a minute. I don't think this actually counts at all towards a semi-auto mode, so it does technically fire slower than some of the other very powerful semi-auto rifles, but because you've got a 20 round mag, you can absolutely spray and pray and pick off your targets with absolute ease. Compared to something like the AG M42 with only 10 rounds in the mag, you have to pick your fights and pick the range of engagement very, very carefully. This isn't so much of a concern with the Breda simply because it's still very, very accurate, and if you've got a fast trigger finger, you can melt people up close, but at range, you've got far more room for error thanks to that 20 round mag. Now, in my experience with playing with the Breda, sticking around mid to short range was the best way to get the most out of the gun, especially in those mid-range fights coming up against any sort of automatic fire weapon. Anything from the medic class was definitely able to be beaten by the Breda. So the only things you really need to watch out for are other assault class users using semi-auto rifles or some half-decent scout class users, which will pick you off from a distance. But if your target acquisition skills and your trigger finger are very quick, then you shouldn't need to worry too much about those because you'll be able to pepper them, force them into cover, close the range, and finish the kill. Using the Breda is the most fun I've had on Battlefield 5, I think, in probably about a year and a half, which really does say something if you look at the recent history of my videos. It sort of brings back memories of the medic rifles in Battlefield 1, like the 8.25 Extended, which was an absolute beast in its own right. It was one of my favorite weapons to use in Battlefield 1, and the Breda is as close as we can get to it in Battlefield 5. If you haven't already used this weapon or you're not familiar with the semi-auto mode, you have to go and try it. Trust me, it's going to work out really well. This weapon's easy to use, it's very powerful, you're going to smash it. So if you had a good time, hit the like button. If you're new around here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button too. Here's a big thank you to my Dame operatives, those of you guys supporting me through Patreon. If you head down into the description and look at the pinned comment, there'll be a link to the Patreon page if you want to help support the channel as well. And until next time, that's Dame Over. Peace.